in my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino. What's up, everybody? Coming to you from the Fox Sports Sacramento studios. Court is in session. Somebody let me know. Is my voice the only voice you're hearing? I'm paranoid now. After last show, where you're like, we can hear the Green Bay audio. It's somebody in Green Bay talking about Green Bay things. And if we want to talk about Green Bay, I could fill an hour talking about Green Bay. I love that city. Things are simple there. It really is a small city built around a massive historical franchise and stadium. It's incredible. Incredible stuff. 20 minutes from the stadium, you can be staying on the water, looking at the lake, or I don't think we were on a lake. We were on something else, but we called it a lake. It was so awesome. Anyways, what's up? Taking you up till about 2:30. Maybe we'll go a little bit longer. Maybe 2:45. Grant Napier Show, 3 o'clock here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Make sure you download the app. Is Grant going? Is Grant going where? Grant's going to be on at 3 o'clock. We'll be here. He's not joining this. This is the King's Court. It's my show on Grant's R channel, as he calls it. So, much to talk about with the Kings. Austin Reeves drops 51 last night. 51. Anybody at the game? If you were, I'd love to get your thoughts. Dude, Dorian, I left it in the microwave. Legit. I left it in the microwave. I don't know what to do. Like, I feel like putting some stats up for like 30 seconds and going to get it. In fact, that's exactly what we're going to do, because the other thing we're going to talk about besides the Kings is gambling. Check out what Shams had to say last week.
Their passport. Rozier will also put a $6 million home up as collateral in this, and Chauncey Billups and Rozier not able to travel either unless it's to New York for their upcoming trial. That is where it stands right now. Damon Jones also arraigned as well today. But there's going to be more from this, because, again, this started as a group of about a handful of co-conspirators. Now it's well over 30 arrests in total after today's round of 31 arrests. And the NBA obviously is waiting to see where this goes. Terry Rozier has been under investigation for the last 2 years, Ernie. And the NBA did not find enough in their investigation to discipline Terry Rozier. But again, the FBI, Kash Patel, they have a lot more at their disposal than the NBA does. Their subpoena power, they're able to take more material, more warrant ability that the NBA just is not able to do. So Terry Rozier, his NBA career is on hold now. Chauncey Billups' coaching career is on hold. Tiago Splitter has been named the interim head coach.
So I, last night, had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people. A lot of people. It was the first game this season that I was able to get to the arena early. And by early, I mean 90 minutes before tip-off, so I can go down on the court, chop it up, check out how the guys are looking, go to the media room, sit around, have dinner, popcorn, water, whatever you want. Kings are very, very good about providing the media great meals and such, really good cookies. Not that it matters to you. But anyways, the point being, I probably talked to a combined years of basketball. If I think about the 3 or 4 people that I was talking to about the gambling stuff, they probably have a combined 100 years covering the NBA. Think about that. 100 years covering the NBA. Every single one of them says it's going to get worse until it gets better. And that the worst case scenario that we've hinted at on the Fox show, it's more likely than not likely to happen with the way things are right now, which is terrifying, which is sad, which is awful. And the NBA released a memo today to all 30 teams. ESPN received a copy of that memo. In that memo, oh, I would be so screwed, Peter. No doubt. In that memo, it lists many of the things we've talked about that need to be fixed. Injury reporting is listed in that memo, amongst other things that affect some of this quote unquote information that gets spread. So anyways, we can go down that rat hole. I guess I know most of you want to talk Kings. I want to talk Kings as well. There really was not much to play from the post-game audio last night. DeMar DeRozan clearly frustrated with the amount of fouls and the amount of free throws that the Lakers took last night. Insane. 46 free throw attempts. Now, this is where the fan base is split. Half of the fan base is like, oh, the refs screwed the Kings. And the other half of the fan base is like, well, you know, it's what it is. You don't have Keegan Murray. Could they have been a little less handsy? Sure. Did the game get called soft? Yes. Especially after the Keon Ellis flagrant, which I don't know if any of you caught this. I immediately turned to the guys that I sit next to when he was on the ground, because remember last game, and this actually goes back to last season. Keon got called for a really bad flop last season, like where he saw the screen coming and somehow he ends up at half court. He slides from the top of the key to half court, or the 3-point line to half court, and they call him for flopping. It was definitely a flop. No doubt about it. But last game, he was called for another flop. And so I'm thinking, before we saw a replay of Ayton make contact with Keon's face, I'm thinking he better have gotten hit. And I didn't want him to be hurt. But if that would have been a flop because they were going to review it, that would have not been a good look. Now, the time that it took to review that, insane. Like, literally insane how much time it took to review that play. It killed the momentum. Grant made an excellent point last night about Austin Reeves being on the bench and he got extra rest. Very true. But back to what I was saying about Keon, I don't know if you noticed this, but when the trainer came onto the court, he got that towel on Keon's face so quick before you could even see whether there was any damage or not. And I'm sure part of that was to protect the possibility that he might have oversold it. He did not oversell it, and it was a flagrant one. But from that point on, that's when Devin Carter ended up coming in. The refs did get very, very soft. Now, I do have a few points I'd like to make about last night. We'll get to them in a minute. We'll get to your comments in a minute. Remember, I'm leading you into the Grant Napier Show beginning at 3 o'clock on Fox Sports Sacramento. It streams to Fox Sports YouTube channel. Also, you can find it on the Fox Sports Sacramento app. Download it in the Apple Store, Google Play, completely free. Just search Fox KSAC. It'll come up. You can listen anywhere, no geo boundaries on it, which is really cool. And then obviously you can catch it the traditional way, 104.7 FM, 890 AM as well, 3 to 6 o'clock. And then from 6 to 7 o'clock, we re-air the first hour. Let's go to the phones. Oh, perfect. I love talking to this guy. Dirk, what's up, dude?
Hey, Rhino. Just kind of recovering from last night's game. Yeah, it went long on that game, but last night's game was exactly what I envisioned a Russell Westbrook like impact could be. He's not always going to shoot that well, and maybe I'm hoping for just maybe a little bit more aggression from him down low. But with that version of Russell Westbrook, do you view his potential impact on the team as a net positive?
Yeah, I actually said it last night. I wrote it down. Russ has so far through 3 games helped the Kings more than he's hurt them.
Yeah, and I'm just at the outset of the season, I think in hindsight, we'll think of him as a positive influence on this team more so than a negative influence. I want to mention something involving maybe not reflected in the stats, but the eye test involving Sabonis. I'm not sure how hurt he currently is, but in your mind, when he was going head up with Ayton, was he winning or losing that rebounding battle one-on-one between the two of them?
He was losing it because most times it wasn't just him against Ayton. The Lakers made a point to pinch down on Sabonis, and JJ Redick even made that point in his post-game press conference. But yeah, Ayton definitely, the big men, Jackson Hayes, they all got the better of Sabonis last night.
Yeah, that's what I saw, and I've been a little bit baffled somewhat based on all the I haven't heard first of all, wasn't present for post game yesterday, but I was surprised about how much positivity was spoken to Cardwell after the first game. So much so that I even rewatched his minutes because I felt like I was the only one seeing this. But in that first game and a little bit tonight, he's not so far I'm not impressed by his rebounding ability. First of all, I'm high we have him. I like Cardwell, but where the praise is, he seems good at isolating out individual rebounders to the point that he actually takes himself out of the play. Like he'll take your best rebounder out of the play or whoever he's guarding, but he's not going to be able to get the rebound either. And so far as the blocks he's executing are not resulting in a change of possession. He's leagues better than Maxime, I'll tell you that much, based on what I've seen. But overall, what's been your impression of him now that we're through 2 games that he's actually played?
He is super physical. Number one, you talked about taking his guy out of the play. He sets incredible screens offensively. His screens are both fundamentally strong and literally strong. He is a strong dude, but he's raw basketball wise. He's a two-way guy. On offense, it shows that he's raw. Bobby Jackson, I've seen after practice, has been working with him on some things in the lane, working with him on, that 12-foot jump shot. He's out there to be your garbage man. He's out there to be a dog. He's out there to be an enforcer. And the Kings, with the lack of size right now, that's why he has gotten minutes in these last 2 games because they've played teams with size. Now, with Larry Marketing, that's a different type of size because he's more cutting and, slashing. But Cardwell, as you polish him up and he gets a G League season under him, especially coming from Auburn and playing under Coach Pearl, I think his basketball IQ is very good. Now, that doesn't mean that it can look bad on the court, because it can, because sometimes I think offensively the game's a little too quick for him. but I think you have some decent ingredients to work with him as long as you understand the limitations that come with it.
Yeah, real great call out on the screens. I noted that as well. Just seeing some of the guys he screens stay screened, and you'd expect a rookie probably in his first couple games have a few fouls based on that. But so far, that's probably the most impressive side of his game in my mind as well. I don't think the Kings can afford to put him in the G League. He's already taking. Was there an injury reason Eubanks wasn't playing, or it was just coach's
No,
decision?
I was gonna get into that. Eubanks played 3 minutes. Isaac played a minute and change last night,
Wow.
minute 16. Um, I don't. I mean, it's tough to say. I was very surprised that Doug Christie did not go more to Isaac Jones last night because to me, that was a better matchup to have IJ out there with who the Lakers had out there big wise. And if Doug had a bad taste in his mouth from IJ's minutes guarding Lowry, I think that's unfair. Nobody was able to guard Lowry. And Russ was the only one that was somewhat effective at the end of the game, but you can certainly kind of point to some of those things. It's just this offense, Dirk. I've got a massive, massive problem with the starters in this offense. The only time the ball is moving is when Doug goes to these 3 guard lineups or they go small. You'll see like Monk, Westbrook, Schroeder, Monk, Westbrook, and Keon. That personally, to me, is the best lineup out there when you go small. And anyways, they've got a lot to figure out, though.
Yeah, and they gotta fold Keegan into it once he's actually back, and we have no idea what that's gonna look like,
Oh,
so
there
it's
is
gonna.
no folding Keegan into it. Keegan comes right back into it, and he's playing close to 40 minutes a night.
For
That's the
sure.
reason Doug's going 12 deep right now.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, just to correct myself, I didn't mean like, oh, well, somehow like gradually get him his minutes. No, I just mean you have to figure out a way to make this offense work in some variation with Keegan. So like, who are the guys stepping in for Keegan now, and what are they doing slash not doing to advance things? It feels like that the 4 spot is pretty much non-existent in this offense, even as is. Maybe due to DeRozan's play lately. I'm not sure he's shooting, I think, fairly okay, but he's being exploited defensively as we'd expect. But on the plus, at least Zach is very consistent right now.
Zach's been incredible. And, I'm not going to say his defense has been perfect all the time, but
It's
the
adequate.
effort he is putting into his defense right now it is above par. It is much more than I expected. Zach Levine right now is playing closer to the value of his contract through 3 games.
He'll never live that up. He'll never live up to that contract. I don't think that's humanly possible. But I agree with you. He's been a pleasant surprise. It's not resulting in wins, and you can't throw that on Zach as far as where the breakdowns occurring. Needs Sabonis to get healthy, and we need Keegan back, or who knows, maybe some early season trades to bolster this roster with some more size, because that's the root of all this. Like, there's no defense at the 4, and really the backup 5 is too young. So
Well, this
anyway,
team was. Hey, I appreciate the call. Thanks, Dirk. Good call by Dirk. This was already a small team. That's the thing. That was the knock on this team. Even the front office realizes it. Off the record, I was talking to somebody that's in that circle. Their concern was size. Now that we've seen Russell Westbrook play a few games, I somewhat understand what they were thinking, especially when Keegan Murray went down. But all the Kings fans out there that think Keegan Murray is not worth the 28.5 per year he's going to be getting, you're nuts. He's worth that just on the defensive end alone. That's the thing. How quick, and I said it to Grant, is there any way you can get Keegan back quicker? You know the front office is asking it. You know Doug Christie's checking in with the trainer constantly. And remember, Keegan, after surgery, the press release said it would be 4 to 6 weeks until he was reevaluated. Not 4 to 6 weeks to be back on the court, reevaluated. Now, what I told Grant last night is he's young, number one. We've seen other Kings, and I know everybody's body is different, but we've seen other Kings come back quicker than expected. And I want to point out probably the most important thing with this injury that he has. It's not on his shooting hand. Now, defensively, it doesn't matter whether it's your shooting hand or not. Keegan's got to have his hands in passing lanes. He's going to be blocking shots. You know, like that hand's going to be effective, but can he possibly get back a little earlier than expected? I have not heard anything that he's on track to do that. It's just he's that important that you've got to ask the question. You've got to hope that he can come back a little bit earlier than expected. I definitely want to talk about the Kings offense here in a few minutes. We'll talk more about the fouls. I think I know DeMar DeRozan walking off the podium saying free throws about Austin Reeves. I believe Austin Reeves shot 22 free throws, if I'm correct off the top of my head. 22. It's 21 or 22. You can't get to the free throw line unless you're going to the hoop. You can't. Now, if you want to argue with me that down low, Sabonis was fouled, you want to argue with me that Cardwell was fouled, if you want to argue the Kings got a bad whistle in the paint, let's talk. But the Lakers were taking everything to the hole. And by the way, the Kings, including the preseason now, have fouled a three-point shooter in every game except one. The three-point contest is a point of emphasis this year. It's the high five rule. So the refs are especially looking for that. But that's got to get cleaned up. It does. The story of Austin Reeves getting going last night is a story that could or should not have been written. The Kings gave him a little too much space. Right off the jump, just a little too much space. I mean, when we talk feet, when we talk inches, like, it makes a difference. And I understand why the Kings gave him a little bit of space, because they have had trouble keeping the ball in front of them. But when he starts to see a couple go down, especially early on, when he's shooting, and some of his threes, at least from my vantage point, they were a few feet behind the line early on, and they were going. And Austin was out. He was out warming up for a while. He knew. I was on the court watching him warm up. He knew he was going to be the man last night, or at least he was going to be the guy the Lakers turned to last night. But that's what got him going. And as the game went along and the Kings tried to double him, all they did was keep running him towards the hoop. How many times did we see him get fouled on a cut to the hoop that is over the top of the key and coming down the lane? That was the foul. That's the one that Keon fouled out on. The Kings could not figure out a way to guard that. Now, I will give the Kings this. It was a clunky game. When you have that many free throws, it is really difficult to catch a flow. And then you throw in the time spent on reviews. That's hard. but it's hard for both teams. Goes both ways. Both teams are waiting the same amount of time. But what I'm getting at is that meant last night the Kings were playing a lot more in the half court. In the half court offense right now, at least with the starters on the floor and Dennis Schroeder running the show, it is not good. It is stagnant. It is predictable. I said last night on the post game, I asked Jerry, I'm like, Jerry, it looks like they're running a zone offense against man defense, where you just have Sabonis going in a triangle from the low block to the free throw line, to the opposite low block, to the free throw line. You've seen Šarić, doing the same. I don't get that. Like, I drew 2 sets in my notebook that I saw too many times last night. It was the one I just described, and then the other set was having Sabonis in the corner. You know, like, I look at the halftime numbers. Domantas Sabonis only had, 5 shot attempts. Only 5 shot attempts. Okay, that's fine. If he's not going to score, put him in a position to distribute. Yeah, not so much. He had 3 assists. But normally, if Sabonis only has 5 shot attempts, the assist number is probably going to be closer to 7, 8, or 9 in the first half, if the offense is running decent. Rebounds were at a premium for him. I can tell you there is, and I've voiced this a decent amount, but after last night, I know it's just not me that's feeling that same heartburn about Dennis Schroeder. Now, I'm not saying Dennis Schroeder is not playing hard. I am not saying that Dennis Schroeder isn't playing well if you look at his numbers. But what I am saying is if the Kings are going to have Dennis Schroeder take 18 shots a night, and by the way, last night was the first night he had double-digit assists. That is not the type of offense the Kings are looking to run. That is ball-stopping offense. The offense looked better, and understand what I'm saying here. I am not saying Russell Westbrook's playing better than Dennis Schroeder. I am saying the ball moves more with Russell Westbrook. I am also saying Schroeder dribbles himself into positions on the floor that are like positions you're not supposed to get into. Corners, under the hoop. And he dribbles it back out, and then it's a reset. We're swinging the ball around the horn. Short shot clock. Somebody's got to get it up, right? Russell Westbrook will do that, but he's doing it with a purpose. Perfect example last night. Russ did one of those drives where it's like, but he knew what he was doing. He got the switch he wanted, which put Ayton on Russ. So he took the ball from the spot that you really don't want to take the ball, and he brought Ayton all the way out to the corner. He knew Ayton would not come out all the way to the corner, and Russ shot the 3 and made it. That is a smart play. That is high basketball IQ. That is getting a matchup and taking advantage of it. The Kings needed a pass-first point guard. And I can't get mad at Dennis Schroeder for having... I sound super negative because he had 18 points and 12 assists. But a lot of those points, and especially a lot of the missed shots, were just poor shots. Dennis Schroeder should not be shooting 9 3-pointers. If Dennis Schroeder is shooting 9 3-pointers a game, forget about it. Forget about it. Because the ball is not moving. Zach LaVine shot 9 3-pointers. I need 4 or 5 of Dennis's 9 to go to LaVine. I need 2 or 3 to go to Monk, not Dennis Schroeder. His defense has been pretty good, but to me, the way they are using Sabonis and Schroeder's decision making, whether he makes the shot or not, it's hurting the Kings. Yes, a made shot is hurting the Kings because the ball is not moving. If you're wide open, great. You got to take the shot. It's the NBA. But he's seeking out his own offense. Case in point, not against the Lakers, but the game before, against Utah. I think he had 9 shot attempts at the half and only 1 assist. What was the adjustment coming out of the locker room? Pass first, not shoot first. And the Kings offense got going. It looked a little bit better. Let's get to your comments. Put the stats up last night if you're just joining us. Sabonis with 8 field goal attempts is criminal. Don't disagree. I think Hachimura had the biggest advantage and had crucial baskets for the Lakers. Look, the Lakers were able to get to whatever spots they wanted. Hachimura wanted to get to the elbows. He could get that shot all day. Reeves was able to get to his spots. The Kings were not able, and it's been this way for the last few games, maybe outside the Phoenix game. But the last 2 games, they're just not able to operate in the paint. And I know the numbers don't show that big of a disparity. Like, what were the final points in the paint last night? Final points in the paint were 46 to 54. So the Lakers 54-46. A lot of the Kings' turnovers are happening in that area. They get in there, they realize, uh-oh, and then when you're trying to make a pass in that area of the court, it's like passing in a phone booth because you're down with all the trees and the bigs and the long arms. So you've got to have, and if I'm Doug Christie and I'm watching the film with the guys, I'm pointing out, hey, this would have been a better 8-foot pull-up or a floater here than taking those 2 extra dribbles and trying to get that reverse layup. You know, DeMar DeRozan, he did not have a shot until the 2:33 mark of the first quarter. And then he goes off for, I think, 6 or 8 straight points. That's not okay. You might look at the box score at the end of the quarter and say, okay, well, the shots look fairly even. But if you watch the quarter in its totality, you're seeing guys get 3 or 4 shots in a row. They're not mixed. The defense isn't on their toes. You're not making the defense move. Again, Zach LaVine is playing incredible. He is playing so well. How you're not going more to Zach LaVine, and I am talking about Dennis Schroeder having the exact same amount of 3-point attempts as Zach LaVine. That is a recipe for a bad, bad season offensively. On top of the Sabonis concerns. Let's see. He thrived in the playoff 3 years ago, struggled last year. He'll be better going forward for sure. All he does is work on his game. Gym rat talking about Austin Reeves. Westbrook is our savior. No, he is not your savior. He's been good for the team. This team would not, quite honestly, the attitude that he brings, it's a little bit better, like the edginess than Schroeder, in my opinion. But his ability to play up at times, his ability to take on a challenge. There was a play last night where he came into the game off the bench. I believe it was the late in the third quarter. And Reeves was getting whatever he wanted. And Russ comes right in the game and attacks him. And I mean, attacks him physically, backs him down in the lane. I mean, bumping him back. Russ made Austin feel him. And it wasn't so much about the shot attempt, it's that mentality. It's the you ain't going to come in here and bully us. Let me remind you, this is our court. Now, Russ didn't convert, but those are the things with basketball psychology and IQ that I like to see. And Russ is doing some of those things. He had a really good game shooting last night. Now, remember, he's going to have games like Phoenix, where he had a really bad game shooting. You know, Keegan really couldn't get anything going with the foul trouble. But at the end of the day, with the foul disparity, I can't make a massive argument for the Kings, not like Doug Christie, who was baffled at the podium. DeMar DeRozan the same way. I just can't, and I wasn't out there playing. I wasn't sitting courtside. I have not watched the film back. But simply by looking at shot selection, looking at the trouble the Kings had under the hoop, let's say the refs called maybe 4 or 5 of those shots in the paint that the Kings missed. Let's say that. That's about it. You maybe give the Kings, if you're a bent fan, still, it should have been probably no more than 28 free throws. And even there, 46 and 28 is a ridiculous discrepancy. But I go back to this. A lot of what the Lakers were doing was towards the rim. A lot of what the Kings were doing was not. You can't expect to get a consistent whistle in the paint if you are not consistently in the paint. It's just the reality. You certainly can't stop Reeves with smaller guards. Well, the Kings had to do what they needed to do. Disagree with you, sir. That's why Austin Reeves was as effective in the playoffs last year. Okay, you guys are talking about your own stuff. Hit the like button. We would appreciate that. Kings Court, Ryan and Sacktown taking you up till about 2:30, 2:35. Got Grant coming on, Fox Sports Radio, 3 to 6 p.m. live, taking your calls, talking Kings. What about our guy?
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
Did anybody watch what happened in the second half at Tiger Stadium in Death Valley on Saturday night? Anybody? It looked like Brian Kelly quit. It looked like he didn't want to be there. Hey, Brian, question. Did you quit?
That's a great question.
He knew. To let A&M come in and do that to you in the second half, that team had no belief in the guy behind the wheel. To see LSU fans leaving in the third quarter, to see A&M fans take over Death freaking valley, you knew it was a wrap. Chris Landry came on with us last week, and he did not think, although there was a lot of pressure there at LSU, he did not think the athletic director who hired Kelly would get rid of him during the season. That half of football was that bad that you had no choice. What did I put out on Saturday night? It got a decent amount of reaction. Brian Kelly looks checked out, similar to the looks on the faces of LSU fans leaving early. A&M handing off the ball to linemen for touchdowns. Yes, linemen. A tight end in the backfield for touchdowns. I put scratch the check, LSU, memo, quote, buyout. They are apparently negotiating the buyout, which is rumored to be in the neighborhood of $54 million. $54 million. We were talking about James Franklin's buyout at 50. And let me tell you this, strictly my opinion, James Franklin is more hireable than Brian Kelly. LSU is more likely to be actually paying the full amount of that payout than James Franklin. Somebody called and talked about James Franklin and everybody talking about him not being able to win the big one. But we forget, and they were spot on about this, that he took that job when that was a place nobody wanted to be. I'm not going to rehash why. He did a lot for that program. A lot. But Brian Kelly, holy crap. In the statement that I believe his name was Charles Lee put out, I think take it for what it's worth. But if you remember this moment when Brian Kelly got hired at LSU, and we always play it here when I'm in studio at Fox. But if you remember the moment when Brian Kelly was hired and he attended an LSU basketball game and he got to talk to the crowd, all of the sudden he developed a Southern Cajun accent. Listen.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
To be a Tiger. Here with my family.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family.
So I believe it's Charles Lee that put it out. In fact, I'll read it to you. As part of his statement about LSU moving on, and it was pretty blunt, that there was no more, and I'm paraphrasing, belief in Brian Kelly. The end of the statement, check out what he puts. We wish Coach Kelly and his family the very best in their future endeavors. I'm just saying, I think that family line in there stuck. I think that was a bad first impression. I thought it was cringe. Speaking of cringe, what about Chris Landry roasting Russell Wilson? I'm going to do a separate podcast on that because I've got a unique perspective about Russell Wilson. Chris Landry not only roasted him, he was spot freaking on. He said what nobody else has said, but everybody is thinking and wants to say. Great stat. Which one was that? I don't know. It's crazy how much the Kings won the 3-point battle, yet they lost the game. Look, just underside. What Dirk was talking about with Dylan Cardwell, who, by the way, said he'll be the enforcer. You mess with us, I'll handle it as long as the vets pay the fine. He was talking about Levine because Levine said he really enjoys playing with him on the court. You're giving up something on offense. You know that. From a scoring point. Rebounding, hustle, that's going to be there. The picks that we talk about. But also, you got to remember this, and Grant disagrees with me, and I firmly disagree with him here. The rookies and the two-way guys, they get a different whistle. They don't get the same whistle that a Westbrook gets, that a Levine, a Schroeder, a Monk. They don't get that same whistle. If that would have been Cardwell backing down Ayton the way that Russ was backing down Reeves, no chance. They would have called an offensive foul. So that plays into it as well. But I got to tell you, this is a tough situation for Doug Christie. Dylan Cardwell, who is a two-way player, let me remind you, a two-way. He only has 55 games that he can play in or dress for the Kings. Unless you're going to convert him to full-time. I think it was a mistake unless Isaac Jones was not well or, I would think he didn't regress with his illness since he started the previous game. But who knows? Maybe he didn't feel good. But Isaac Jones playing 116 last night, I don't understand how you don't throw him in. That one was a little bit hard for me to understand. Even Drew Eubanks. The offense moves pretty well with Drew. Drew is way more mobile than Sabonis. Now, he's limited offensively compared to Sabonis. But I was surprised Drew didn't get more burn. I think the Dario Saric experiment has fizzled. Anybody else disagree? Keegan won't come back 100% healed. That's for sure. My guess is he would be wearing, even if he is 100% healed, my guess is he would be wearing a brace, regardless. Just like if you have an ACL injury that you're coming back from, you're wearing a knee brace. He'll probably have something on. DeRozan didn't have it going. He knew it and didn't force it. But again, Reeves, 51 against a Christie team. Reeves schooled the Kings, who had no answer. Look, sometimes guys are just, they're great for a night. He was. When a player, and I want to make this clear, Austin Reeves, some of the talk last night on the post game saying like, oh, he's undrafted, he's not that. No, he has been a really, really good player. He took a risk on himself this offseason by not signing an extension. And I think he has already at least doubled on the open market what that extension would have been. And now with Luka getting to play with him, that's going to give him more opportunities in Austin if they're on the court together. But he's also going to be getting more opportunities if Luka is going to be missing games. Luka is going to be out at least a week. And who knows with LeBron? There's like all this stuff going around, like LeBron's sitting back to see what the team does. he's not happy. Like, come on. Like, I don't get it with him. I don't. Sciatica is a real thing. Sciatica sucks. But whatever's going on with it, it's not our problem. We see the Lakers 4 times a year. But it's just a weird situation down in LA. This is the only year LeBron is going into, or this is the only season in his 23-year career that he has not had a player option or a team option on the back end of his contract, meaning he is a free agent next year. So take it for what it is worth. The season could be the tipping point to finally starting over, a hard reset. Look, anybody who is rushing to judgment on this team, like Grant last night, I'm not saying he's rushing to judgment, but his bold take is the Kings will not be 500 at any point the rest of this season. I disagree. You're without Keegan Murray. You're without Nick Clifford. This team almost went 2-3 in the first 3, which we would have all signed up for. In fact, this team very easily could be 3-0. So I think for me personally, I am giving some grace right now to Doug, who is trying to match up somehow, some way with teams that are much bigger. And by the way, this road trip that's coming up, brutal. Brutal, brutal, brutal. In fact, let me grab the schedule really quick. So here is some interesting. Today is the 27th, right? Today's 27th. Let's see. 27th. So the Kings are in Oklahoma City tomorrow, Chicago Wednesday, Saturday at Milwaukee, Monday at Denver. Then they come home, Golden State, OKC, Minnesota, and Denver. The reason I brought that up is Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is going to be out 2 weeks. So will the Kings catch the Timberwolves without Anthony Edwards? Kings' first NBC game will be a home game Tuesday night on November 11th, Denver. Man, Valanciunas and Jokic without Keegan Murray. Oh, boy. Big ask. Big ask. But look, if you're a Kings fan right now, you are just hoping they can piece this together. I'm not taking anything concrete from this stuff. Now, I am tracking trends because if you insert Keegan Murray into the starting lineup, I don't know that really changes the way Dennis Schroeder is running the team, especially right out of the gate. So I'm tracking that trend. Rotation, I don't think Devin Carter did himself any favors last night. A little bit of a tough ask. And I also thought it was right when the refs were trying to reel the game back in after the Keon foul. So a lot going on. I have not even talked about NFL. So we'll get to all of that. Grant coming up here in just about 30 minutes. So we're going to get out. Thanks for being here today on the King's Court. We will be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock, not 1:30, 1 o'clock here on the King's Court. We'll do it from the studios here at Fox Sports Sacramento. But in the meantime, make sure You hop over, get ready, go grab a drink, take a bathroom break, whatever it might be. Go take your walk if you're at work. So that way you are already come 3 p.m. We're taking your calls. We're taking your text messages, 916-779-0929. Fox Sports Sacramento, 104.7 FM, 890 AM. Best way, easiest way to listen is from your bedroom on the Fox Sports KSAC app. Go download it. Fox Sports Sacramento. Just go to Google Play, Apple Store, type in Fox KSAC. It will come up. You can listen live there. If you can't make the show live, no worries. We stream it to Fox Sports Sacramento's YouTube, and also the replay is temporarily being hosted on Grant's podcast platform. So you can catch it there, but definitely a big Kings Day today. NFL will be talking. Obviously, Brian Kelly, gambling World Series. Haven't talked about that at all. Back in LA tonight, Toronto and the Dodgers all tied up at 1. So a ton. It's a sports buffet. Come get some. Fox Sports Radio, just in about 30 minutes. Looking forward to it. Thanks again for being here. And also, don't forget, I believe Grant will be doing a show tonight after Monday Night Football right here on If You Don't Like That. So give us a thumbs up. Join us here in another 30 minutes. Fox Sports Radio, Grant Napier Show, coming your way. Come on, get in today. We want your calls. Fill up the phone lines, 916-779-0929. Have a good one. See you in about 30 minutes. Thanks for being here on the King's Court. Court's dismissed.